to another Better Together Tuesday. We are here with one simple mission. We are trying to empower you to take control of your shared finances and strengthen your relationship by aligning your goals through strategic communication. We feel like we have another couple today that just embodies what it means to be a power couple. And we have for you guys today the Wallens. So I'm going to invite them onto the stage, let you guys meet them, find out a little bit about them. All right, add to stage.
Yay.
You know, we're still figuring this out. You know, Better Together Tuesday #2, the Wallens. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing pretty good. It's a Sunday afternoon. We got our girls picnicking in the back. Hopefully they stay distracted with pizza and Firebuds on Disney. And what else? They got grapes and cheese sticks. I mean, tablets. They've got a bathroom back there. I mean, they have their own private suite.
Literally.
So, you know, they live better than we do. So hopefully,
for silence.
Right? Hoping for it, right? Like, but
hoping
they will find some way to be like, but wait, I'm missing this one thing that cannot be bought. Like, I cannot let it go for another 30 minutes. I have to bother you right now. Right.
Our last episode, we had to cut at least 6 times because they ran out to tell us everything and everything.
Everything. Running out, screaming. At one point, there was no pants on. It was a moment.
It was a live show.
Now you guys have one, right?
Mm-hmm.
How old is he?
16 months. Napping, and hopefully he stays napping.
See? Okay. All right. So does he do something? Does he do anything right now that is just like you get a glimpse of what it's going to be like as he gets older?
Yeah, he hurts himself climbing on things, and then he goes right back to doing what he's doing. So
yeah, he figures out things that he shouldn't be able to do pretty easily. Like he loaded up the DVD player with his own choice yesterday.
He loaded
you
up
can't tell me what your ears are, but you can load up the DVD player.
Don't you love that?
On and everything.
That's incredible.
That's literally our second born. She will literally be the one to disarm something that we're like, how did you do that? How did you?
And it doesn't go away. She's almost 4 years old now, and she's still jumping off stuff and doing dangerous stuff and scaling the side of the refrigerator, and it just, she gets whatever she wants because she finds out how to get it.
She will figure it out. I mean, I just feel like she's going to be a really good, strategical engineer. Maybe, you got to start thinking about those things. Like, okay, you're going to be really good at disarming stuff for other people. I don't know. Hopefully, she doesn't turn into a hacker, but
Hey, that's all right.
It's all good. So I'm so excited to have you guys here. And like I said, we're very this is such a very casual conversation. Our whole focus is just talking about how you're better together. So our first question for you guys is just, how did you guys meet? What brought you guys together?
Because we know you. Kim knows you. Kim works with you. Kim,
I don't know her husband.
But right. But we want to know.
John.
We want to know who the Wallens are.
Well, we met on Tinder on a dating app. I was in my last semester of college, and I was determined to find my husband on that thing. So, and I love that so much. Yeah, I don't know. We just went out for dinner one night, and I usually would go on dates with people, just one and done, and be like, okay, you're not for me or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. John stuck around, and next thing we knew, we were moving across the country together, barely knew each other. And we moved to Minnesota.
2019?
Yeah, in the beginning of 2019. But we had to make that decision to move in together, after 3 months of knowing each other.
I love this.
So that was I think that was our big first communication step, honestly.
Absolutely.
I was going to say, okay.
How many dates did you guys each go on? How long were you guys on Tinder?
Oh, I don't know. Not him, probably not so much, because he had just gotten out of the Army. So he was just kind of so fresh out of that.
Thanks.
But yeah, Veterans Day was yesterday? 2 days ago?
Yeah. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We met on
Tinder. You guys dated where? Because you said you went across it. So where were you first when you guys were dating?
Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
PA?
Nice. What part of Pennsylvania?
Lancaster, I guess. is from
Okay.
like New York, and then I was in school in Lancaster.
Okay, got it.
Lancaster, and then we moved to Duluth, Minnesota. So a
Nice.
solid like 18-hour drive.
It's a big jump.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah. And not only that, like, let's just talk about that though, right? So, well, the Pennsylvania thing is interesting. So we're in Maryland, as you know, and we went to school near Philadelphia. So we went to school in what was it? Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, is where we went to school.
It's right outside
So
Philly,
it's
but
not
we also have
super
family
far.
who lives near Lancaster.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
also, someone made a post yesterday in one of my friend chats, and they were like, "We should go to Shady Grove," and I was like,
Shady
"Not Shady
Maple.
Grove, Shady Maple." Shady Grove is the fertility clinic. you just always hear the radio like things on that.
Very different experience.
Very
Like,
different.
I'm here for a
experience.
buffet style meal, and you show up to a fertility. Like, no.
Shady Maple.
Small difference.
Small, yeah.
Subtle
Subtle difference.
Have you guys ever been to Shady Maple?
I have heard of it, but I have not actually
Yeah,
been
never
there.
been.
You've never been either. Okay.
I've never been
We have
either.
No. Okay. Well, anyway, that was just a fun little like Pennsylvania thing, just in case you ever were there. It's a pretty awesome smorgasbord. But anyway, so let's talk about the fact that you went from like there to a whole different state, and you are still getting to know each other. You don't really have family in the area, and you're embarking on living together and
Yeah.
making this thing work. That takes some serious like trust, and that takes some moxie to do that, to be like, this is going to happen. We're doing this.
Yeah, it did. I mean, it felt pretty comfortable and easygoing, honestly. But like looking back, it was like, holy crap! Like we did that.
Yeah.
Right. Legit.
What do you
So-
think was? What do you think was the hardest thing to like, as you were kind of bringing your lives together? Was there anything that you had to like work through, like communication wise, that you were like, okay, hold on, we got to sit down and actually talk through this?
Yeah, I think there were a few things. So when he first decided to be a helicopter pilot, basically like we had started dating, he was like, this is what I want to do. And I was like, okay. So we searched through like colleges together, and found the one in Minnesota. And then had to have the tough conversation of like, okay, well, do you want me to like move in with you? Or do you want this to be long distance? So that was, I wouldn't say really a hard conversation. It was just like, yeah, let's do it and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And so then when we moved in together, we still kind of had our finances separate. And they were separate, but like we were relying on each other. So like when we first moved, I had gotten a job right away, full time, and I was kind of like the breadwinner while he started his studies and picked up
Because she
part-time
spent all my
jobs.
money.
Well, I'm getting to that point. I spent all the
Yeah,
money.
yeah.
That's what I was looking behind the master's degree back
Yeah,
there.
I'm getting there.
I like
I
that's where all my money went.
Like, what happened to the finances?
They're right there.
Part-time job.
The little 8x11.
Yeah, then I was like basically let go after tax season. And so then he became like the breadwinner, and I decided to go get my master's, which he had paid for out of pocket of his own savings from
Very
his
nice.
single days working, which was I guess the first like kind of big conversation that we had to have for like, how do I pay for my master's? Do I take out a student loan, or do I use your money when we're only boyfriend and girlfriend and
Right.
take that like bet on me?
So just take it. I'm not using it anyway, apparently. Yeah.
I
But
like
like, what else
Yeah,
was in your mind for that when I'm like, hey, can I have like this money?
No, that's a legitimate risk.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't think I'm the average person like this. Just take
Ooh.
it.
I like it. So that's an insane amount of trust that you haven't heard, that you're like, no, I really trust in you and I believe in you enough that I think this is a worthy investment for you and for
I
us.
only like to gamble when I know I'm going to win.
Yeah. So I mean,
And
he has, a lot,
Safe bet.
he has a lot of faith in me, but did you have like a pretty safe bet that I was going to stick around forever? Or that like things would pan out the way that they did? Like, did you already think that we would get
I don't
married and
know.
all that?
He's like, I don't know.
We're figuring it out at that point. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
He
like
must
this.
have had some kind of
right.
strong, like inkling that
Yeah.
it would have worked out.
I love that.
Worst
though.
case, I have that strong feeling that I progressed someone's career.
You just I'd be like a charity case if I dump you.
Hey.
You just be like, oh well, there she goes.
But by the way, you didn't read the fine print. I'm going to need that with interest.
I'm obsessed with this though, because that's an insane amount of trust already, right? Like just in the very first, like, couple months of going in, that you're just like, I trust you and I believe in you, and we're in this together. Like, what a great teamwork ethic that you already built as the foundation of your relationship.
But I mean, like John said, like he's different, right?
Yeah.
You worked with a lot of clients, and the spouses don't have that same support. When
That's
they say they
so
want to start
true.
a business venture or they want to do something, like they're met with a brick wall. Like they
It's
don't have that same support. So I do appreciate that. When we talk about our money languages, we talk about the strategist.
Yeah.
And that's somebody who takes calculated risks. And for John, right, this was it wasn't just a risk like, it's not going to pay off, right?
Yeah.
Like, or we'll see what happens. Like, it was very much calculated. Like, he knew how this was going to turn out.
Yeah.
Right. It was calculated. So, yeah, no, I did the same thing. We're both educators for a long time. And eventually Kim was like, you know what? We just had our firstborn and I don't want to work anymore. Like, I want to be at home with the baby. And it was like, okay, well, we need to have a serious conversation about this because our income's about to cut in half. So she picked up LuLaRoe and did that. And I think she had to make like $400 or $500 a month just to like cover. I mean, we were just scraping by. It was just covering like water and lights and stuff. She just had to bring that in. But 100%, like I had to take that risk and say, okay, like I'm just going to bring in educator money and you're going to try to bring in $400, but I trust you.
Yeah. And it was worth it for the long-term effect of being able to say, like, one, we tried it because I was totally willing to go back to full-time work. But secondly, the fact that like this was something that was kind of like a dream of mine, to be able to have the choice to stay home with my daughter, and to be able to take a chance on myself. So having that person who's willing to believe in you and take a bet on you with you is a really huge like undertaking, and it makes it so much easier sometimes to be like, okay, well, I have this person that's believing in me, so I can push forward. I want to back up though, because we talked about how you guys met, which already an amazing story, but like, what do you both do? Because helicopter pilot is something that I'm like really intrigued by. I've never met a helicopter pilot, but I know what Olivia does. So
those listening don't know.
Yeah. So Olivia, why don't you start with what you do? Because this is something that maybe our listeners might be interested in. So I want to make sure that you get an opportunity to do that. But then I'm totally going to like ask a lot of questions of you, John.
Okay. So
yeah, you're starting.
I'm a virtual accountant. So I work from home and I provide accounting services, bookkeeping, tax preparation, planning, tax projections. Let's see, just like one-on-one advisement, but mostly like the bread and butter is bookkeeping and tax preparation. So yeah, I provide all of that virtually. I have like an online portal where people just upload their information, and it's all very smooth process, and everything's just done on e-sign and Zoom. And yeah, I don't really. What else should I say, Kim? What else do I?
Well, I will say, because I'm.
Well, no, I was asking.
Well, I'm her client, so I want to make sure that I put this out there that Olivia is like amazing. One of the things that I need to make sure that I brag on her about is that she's so willing to teach. She has the heart of a teacher, which any person that's on my financial team, that's really important to me, because just because I know how to manage my money in terms of like my income in my home and my business does not mean that I understand the taxes. I don't understand all of that other part. And every CPA, every accountant that I connected with when I first started my businesses were a part of huge agencies or people that I would call, and I would get like a person, and I was like, yeah, but do you understand what I'm asking? Are you willing to sit with me and tell me what's going on? And most of the case that was like, no, I can't. Or, you can come in, and I would get to a person and I'd be like, I just need help with this one thing. And they would not be able to sit with me. And I was like, I'm paying all this money. I need you guys to be willing to like actually educate me so I can be the better client for you. And I had to fire several different accountants before I got to Olivia. I found Olivia through another company, and she was like, "Hey, I'm moving on." And I was like, you must stay with me forever. I'm not leaving, because you actually talk to me. You actually care about me. Every time I have a question, you answer it. And I'm not like a horrible client. I'm a good client, but I just need to know so that I am have assurance that I'm on the right track. And I just love being able to, you bring so much ease into, like, this next tax season is going to be smooth sailing. And I'm so excited because I have you on my team. So I just want to put that out there, because
absolutely. Listen, you heard it.
Need to know.
Kim fired a ton of people. Like Olivia's one of the good ones. So if you're looking for someone, for sure, Olivia is the one. Now, you said she used to work with a different company.
Yes.
So Olivia, tell me about that. So why did you decide to set sail and just do your own thing?
Yeah. So I was at various CPA firms before I've kind of went by myself. And I've just recently really dove all into my business. I created the Entrepreneurs Financial Group back in 2021 when I was in the online space since 2019, but I saw all of these people, network marketers and affiliate marketers, and just like networking groups, and they were just struggling during tax time. And then here I am with like this career expertise, and everything's, being done properly on my end. And it's just super easy for me. And I'm just like, wait, you guys don't have a spreadsheet? You don't know what a 1099 is? So then I started educating people for free, which led to the creation of my course, small business tax course for the online entrepreneur. And that's what really kicked off the entire Entrepreneurs Financial Group, and doing more one-on-one services as well as that group program. So I was still bringing clients in as tax clients under who I was employed by. Mm-hmm. And that just did not go very well this past tax season with a new employer, because the person I had originally started to work for and their firm, they sold the firm. So it was all just kind of like jumbled up and very disorganized. And like my clients still got attention from me because I go above and beyond for them, but I just found that it was best to move on. And now like the time was to really take that even extra step, that extra bet on myself, to add tax prep into the Entrepreneurs Financial Group. So that's what I did. And that's what this next tax season is going to look like. It's just going to look like me and nobody else to hinder what I'm doing with my clients or question what I'm doing with my clients, which was an issue this past year, as he would know, because I'm like complaining about that stuff. So I'm all about like helping my clients legally save as much money as possible. So I'm not someone who's just going to take your information and put it in the tax return and not ask you questions or help you find more deductions or anything like that. So yeah, that's what I'm all about now. I have nobody overhead of me, being like, well, that's not deductible and their business isn't real. And, so I'm just best to be by myself. But yeah.
Right. But that's what separates you from the pack, is that you have that heart of the teacher and you just break it down for people. And that's, what pulled Kim in. She's like, all right, this is one I have to keep and preach about and tell people, like Olivia,
she can't,
like she's going to break it down for you and she's going to explain the ins and outs and she's not going to leave you confused.
Nope. She is definitely, she can never leave me. Okay.
So you can never leave this job. This profession is your profession for the rest of your life, or we will come find you.
Yes.
No, that's fine. I love what I do. I love being an accountant, but and I love being able to pick my clients too, and being able to really like build the company that I want and work with the people that I want to. And I basically just grow alongside of them. Honestly, like all of my clients are just like kind of starting at the bottom, just like I am. And we're all like growing together. And I really like that. I really enjoy it.
That's so fun. That's true. Because you do get to see businesses go through a lot of ebbs and flows. I laugh and wink at her. I mean, she knows all about what's going on. And it's really nice to, again, be able to have someone who's so supportive and like, I see you, I hear you. So, okay. So now my question is for John. So We learned about Olivia.
Right. Well, because we spent all of John's money on Olivia, right?
Yeah.
So did John get to
We'll have
spend
to get
all
it
of
back.
Olivia's money? Yeah.
So helicopter pilot, tell me more.
So still at like the bottom of the tier when it comes to helicopter pilots. I mean, I'm still a pilot, so that's pretty nice. But I just kind of do two things. I was primarily flying tours. Now I primarily fly oil pipelines, and that's about as interesting as it sounds.
That sounds really interesting, honestly. Like, I mean, you're manning a vehicle that flies in the sky. That already, that's interesting to me. Like, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, trust me, I'm not complaining.
He enjoys it, which I'm happy that he enjoys it. Yeah. Because the last job he had before we had moved and before he decided to like take this as a career and go to school for it, I mean, was not a very pleasant job. So at least now when he goes to work, he's like happy to go to work.
That's good.
That's so big.
What got you into that though? Like, what was the thing that made you go, I want to be a helicopter pilot?
I don't really know. I mean, most people that become pilots, like when you ask them, like they've met like one of their family members is a pilot, or they were just like a grandparent was like a pilot or something. I never really had that. I just saw it once and I was like, that seems pretty cool. And I didn't really think anything of it. I mean, the first time I was on a plane, I was 18 and I was headed to boot camp.
Mm-hmm.
And then travel-wise, airplanes, helicopters in the military. And then I got out and I was like, maybe I should do this. And then someone was like, yeah, you're never going to do that. And I was like, well, now it's purely spite motivated now.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Nothing gets you going like someone that's like, you're not going to do that. I was like, well, now I am. Like, I was
right.
commitment to that thing. Why can't I do it?
Mm-hmm.
And I just sent it.
Nice. And then it turns out that you really do love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to complain. You just fly around all day.
Yeah.
In the simplest point of things. I mean, there's a lot more going on, but
yeah.
Do you send this person like a weekly notification that you're now a helicopter pilot? Do you let them know on the regular, like, hey, remember me?
No, I don't. I mean,
you're better than me.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't really use like the social media stuff too much anymore, so I'll update it like once.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The time between updates is getting longer because I never update it, but
yeah, it's true.
Up until a year ago, that was me. I hadn't been on social for almost a decade.
Almost, yeah.
And then I came in with Kim in the business, so now I've been back on. But yeah, I had no desire.
It's mainly under my accounts anyway. And I will definitely say that social media has shifted a lot for me as well, even though I'm always on it because I'm now just talking about my business. It's really just like a place to just talk about my business and to meet people who are interested and, you know, to have a good time as well. But I'm really on there for that reason. If my friends want to talk to me, they text. Like that's where most of those shenanigans happen. If you really want to get to know me or be like a friend, that's where you're going to be. Otherwise, hey, what's up? In the DMs. That's it. I don't know. But that's awesome though. I feel like the read that I'm getting on you is that one, you're a risk taker. But two, that you're also very much like, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to get it done. Like if I see a target, I'm going to get it done. You know, like
really look at it as a risk. It's like, this is what we're going to do. Now, how do we do it? It's not.
Yeah.
Obviously there's risks involved and there's a struggle through it, but this is what we're going to do. Let's figure out how we're going to do it.
But still, even flying a helicopter is like a risk. When he first took me in the helicopter, and it was my first time ever in one, I'm like not afraid of heights, and I've flown tons of times in like airplanes. I had been parasailing. We went up in a hot air balloon before that, no problems. And he like picked this helicopter up off the ground, and I was like, oh my God, we're in a tin can flying above like the water. I was like, this feels so unsafe. There's just like that thin of a glass in between you and death. And I was in a hot air balloon where there was nothing.
It's not glass and death. There's some things to work through before that point.
So
right.
Yeah, I think it's still a risk. Our life insurance thinks it's a risk for sure. So, but he's
fair.
He's
Life insurance thinks your breakfast choice is a risk. Anything they can charge you more for, they're
Yeah.
That's right.
But
Do
he's
you eat
always,
bacon?
like, very, whenever we're flying or whenever he has to like go to work, he's like, I have to go to work. I have to like check everything. And he's like very diligent about being safe about it. And I think that's why you don't think it's a risk, because you're very diligent about the safety of your job. So,
yeah, that's like very, because you're right. When I like that you're like, well, it's not really, it is a risk, but it's not really a risk because you're just like, I'm going to get it done. Like whatever, it's going to be hard, sure, but we're going to move forward. And I see that very much in some of the other things that you guys just mentioned before about, you know, you could say the quote unquote risk of like saying, hey, I believe in you, go get that master's. And I believe that, you know, we're going to get that ROI. We're going to push through it because I believe in you. And then, you know, saying, I'm going to go to school and I'm going to be a pilot because this is what I want to do. And we're going to make it happen. It's going to happen. So I feel like there's a lot of, you know, things there, but like walk us through like communication with, like some of these. It seems like you both are very similar with going after big dreams. How do you guys communicate those dreams to each other, especially if they shift or if you have, you know, other things on the horizon that you're like, this is what we want to do? Like, how does that work? How do you guys put a plan into action?
Going back to what you said about like how John's very much just like, this is what we're going to do. And now like, here's the plan to do it. Like, I don't have really entrepreneurs in my family, but he does. His parents are entrepreneurs. And I think that he gets that mentality from them, from just like, this is what we're going to do. This is what we have to do. And we're just like going to get it done. I think you get that from like your dad and mom, but communication, what was the second part of that? Communication around what
I was just saying that the communication between some of the big dreams that you guys have had, like how do you work through that?
Well, you just say it. This is what I want. What do you think of it? Or this is what I'm going to do. How do you deal with it?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I think a big hurdle for us was when I was like 34 weeks pregnant, and he was like, okay, it's time for me to like get a job. And he had graduated, and we thought that job was going to be in Florida, and it ended up being in Texas. And then I was really upset because we had friends in Florida. So
but now we have friends in Texas.
No, we
That's
don't.
right.
I have friends in Texas.
She said, no, we don't.
That's incredible.
That I feel like that was like the biggest communication for us as far as like the dreams and like the next step, the next layer to the dream. That was like the biggest hurdle so far that we've had to overcome, because right now the past year and a half has just kind of been not smooth sailing, but just like grinding away at like the jobs and the work, and we're just in one place. But I did not want to come to Texas, and I was kind of like, you can find a different job.
Right.
You can do something else.
I can't.
Yeah, so the communication around that was pretty tough, I guess. But I think, like I said, like we were very
I would say
like
the communication was the circumstance. Like, I don't
Yeah,
want
the
that. Well, that's what we
circumstance.
have to do. So
the
Right.
circumstance was tough, and it was like, okay, well, me asking questions and exploring different outlets. Well, what if you got a different type of job with a different company? Can you go back to the employer and ask him to hire you for the next opening at that particular, like, there were all these different questions or different like avenues that I was trying to explore and put in his head to figure out, so that way I could get what I wanted as well. But ultimately
that didn't pan out.
ultimately
There's a little bit of compromise
and
there.
I had to like take the back seat this
It's like,
time.
hey, we have no money. You're pregnant, and we need money.
Yeah,
We're
so
going
We're going to Texas.
yeah, so that was my, like, it was, I guess it was just my turn to kind of take like that back seat and let his dream lead.
Trust
Just
the
like
process.
previously it was kind of the other way around, where he wasn't taking a back seat. He was still like in school, but he certainly invested in me and pushed me towards my dreams. So it's really just been back and forth like that between us of like who's the breadwinner, who's like going harder on their career aspirations at this point in time. And we just kind of like balance back and forth, I think. Always always giving and taking in different
what I said, like
seasons of our lives.
This is what we're gonna do. How do we get there? Who's got to fill up the gap here? Who's got to do this here?
Mm-hmm. I think that's so. I hope you guys understand how unique that is. Couples don't do that. I should say normal, which you already said you're not normal. You're not a typical dude, right? But like typical couples, that's not the way those conversations go, especially when it comes to the willingness to be able to say, you're going to be the breadwinner for a little bit because I'm going after my career aspirations, but don't worry, your turn is coming. You know what I mean? And then like being able to do that back and forth and being able to support each other through those bigger goals isn't something that I will be specific and say men will do. They're most likely going to say, no, I need to be the one that's always being the breadwinner because that's what society has told me. And there's nothing wrong with taking turns. There's nothing wrong with that. That's how you build a very strong, supportive, and
that's the point of doing it together, right? It's like you're a team.
Right.
100%.
Right. You said it right there. Like you're a team. I wish that more couples understood that you are a team, and a team does not mean that there is like, only one person who's able to say, this is what we're doing. And that's it. It is an effort where you both have to communicate your dreams, goals, plans, and you both say, okay, here's where I can support you. You take the lead on this one. And then vice versa, when it comes to, a strength or situation that's happening where you're like, you take the lead on this one. So I love that.
And I think it makes it easier for Olivia to make that decision because of John's decision earlier, right? Because he made that sacrifice to be like, all right, we're dating. Here's my money. Like, go do this thing. Like, because of that decision. There was trust built there, right? So, I mean, number one, they needed money, so they went to Texas. But there's trust there, like, hey, like, this is what we need to do. And she's like, all right, well, I guess it's my turn to take a sacrifice.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what's going on with her mic right now. Can you guys hear us still?
It's just our.
Okay, cool. It's just us.
It's just our headphones.
Okay, it's just our headphones. All right. But I really, really, that is definitely the embodiment of a power couple, to do exactly what you guys are doing, being able to balance each other out, being able to respect each other's dreams and goals, and not be one of the things we like to talk about in our programs is a safe place conversation and recognizing. I think you were at the first iteration, the first V1 version 1 of our masterclass with that, where we talked about like when you're having these safe place conversations, it's not a time where you're able to say, hey, this is a dream that I have. And the other person is like, that dream sucks. Don't do that. Right. Like you can't. That's not how you foster that trust. And it seems like you guys have had a lot of those safe place conversations where you both have felt like, okay, I hear you. I understand you. How are we going to make it happen? What are we going to do to get it done? Here's the plan. So I love that.
Yeah.
I will say sometimes John's not always like he's not like you can do whatever you want.
I was gonna say, what is she about to say? John's not always what?
He's not like, oh, you can do whatever you want with
course
your business, or I trust you like totally, because obviously there's some things that I want to invest in and that I want to buy, and I'll be like, I don't know, and then I'll like come to him and ask him. I'll be like, so this is what it is, and I really think it would help with this, but I'm not sure. I would need like more money, or I would blah blah blah. And like, so sometimes he's there to be like, okay, yes, this is something worth investing in, and we should do it. And then other time, or I should do it, or we, whatever. And then other times it's like, no, kind of like
let's not do that. And then there's the times where it's like, all right, do it. Just you do the finances. So don't show me it, because it's just going to, knowing that we're spending more money, it's not ever going to make me happy.
Right.
So, but there are some times
you got to spend money to make money at some point.
It depends on what it is. And he's really good at like being able to say like, yes, this is good. No, this isn't, if I'm unsure. So sometimes he does say like, no, you need to focus on this part of your business and not get sidetracked too, because I need somebody to do that as well. Because I mean, as you know, in like the online space, there are so like, it's so easy to get swept up with like shiny object syndrome, and want to invest in all of the programs and all of the coaches and learn all of the different streams of income that are available to you online. And it's hard to like restrain yourself and say, no, I really need to focus on this more. I need to make this work. I need to make this stream of income work before I can move on to the next one. So he's good at helping me too, like with investments, business investments, specifically in business moves.
Right.
That's so true. At some point you have to implement, and it's good to have that person in your circle who's going to hold you accountable to be like, what have you already done? What are some things that, like how have we implemented what we've already learned before we decide to invest in something else? And yes, I have to
give
have
yourself
that.
time.
He has to be that
put it
person
into
for me
practice.
too. So that's awesome. All right. Do we have?
Yeah, no, I love it. I'm really thankful that we had this interview and this conversation, because the Wallens are an incredible couple. And I do think that they embody that mission that we talked about.
Absolutely. We have one more question for you that's just rapid fire. Okay. And so like going forward, what do you think is the one most important thing that couples need to learn about communication, given all the stuff that you went through? What is something that's super important that these power couples, aspiring power couples, need to know to be a power couple?
Oh, I know what it is. Unless you have an idea that came to mind.
Send it.
For me, like when I met John and like what was different about him, and I was like knowingly / unknowingly putting him through all of these different communication tests. I guess it would be that you have to commit to the communication. Like, in a lot of times where we're arguing or trying to talk about things that might be a little bit more harder for us, like he's good at really just being like, no, we don't walk away. We need to like finish this conversation, and it needs to be had in like an appropriate, like respectful way without like screaming or anything. Like we don't really scream at each other when we talk or argue.
And I'm a very big fan of talk to me like an adult. Like, I'm not having a yelling conversation right now.
Yeah.
So
we got neighbors.
I think that's like the biggest piece of advice, is that you have to like commit to the communication and sit there and be quiet when somebody else talks, and then speak your piece in a peaceful way. And
if you're yelling, you're just pretty much word vomiting at that point. I mean, you want to be heard, so you're yelling, but if you're yelling, I'm not listening. So
exactly.
Let's find a better way to do it.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good point. And that's literally going to be the difference between couples who are able to have these conversations and actually say, okay, I heard you. Let me process. Like we talked about that last week with our other couple, processing what has been said and learning how the other person is processing is so huge, because then when you're able to know your spouse at that level, you're able to say, okay, I know what they're thinking, I know what's happening, and I know that they're going to come back, or we're going to have a cordial, respectful adult conversation where my insecurities or his insecurities or whatever are not going to be the things that keep us from creating resolve. And that is just so important. So I'm glad that you guys have done that. And that's a really, really good tip to bring to our audience and aspiring couples out there.
Right. No, these conversations that are about our values and our beliefs and things about money and communication and like, life, like those are deeply emotional conversations. And when you feel like, those emotions are starting to get the best of you, then like maybe you need to either A, take a break, or B, take a deep breath and like, no, we're not walking away from this. Like we don't run from this conversation. Like this conversation needs to be had. And that's big.
That's huge. That's huge. I'm so excited that we got a chance to hang out with you guys. And thank you guys so much for being willing to hang out with us and talk about, how you guys are the power couple, which I would 100% think that, and agree that you guys embody what it looks like to be a power couple, and both helping each other go through school, go through aspiring for your dreams and your goals, and going through the ebbs and flows of what that looks like. And you guys have been able to support each other through that, through communication. And that's really what it is. Respectful communication. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today.
Yeah.
We Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any last words you want to say? Last words before we end?
John definitely wants to say
Yes,
something.
He does.
100%.
Go for it.
Look at that guy.
I mean, I was
Dog.
gonna go grab the baby, but like,
Okay,
He's
Gary.
like,
Yeah.
he needs awake. Like, I gotta go get him.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we'll let you guys go back to family life and all that stuff. We always have a saying that we want to help couples live in love.
And walk in wealth.
So I hope you guys do the same, and we will talk to you guys soon.
Take care, y'all.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Yeah, no worries.